backup plans at least.
Yeah, it works.
But then
Okay.
more important things come up almost every time.
Almost every time. Yeah, we like start something and then we end up being derailed and it goes back to, like, okay,
Well, that's
this is
why
what
we're
we're
unplugged.
talking about.
We just
Exactly.
talk about what we want
All
or what's
right.
relevant at the time. Backup plans at
I
least.
think we are
Yeah, it
live.
works. We are.
Okay. Sweet. Well, I will close this so it doesn't echo on me. So, yay, here we are. We had a week off-ish, I think. We did our, special guest with Dr. Matt Owens, right? Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
a
trying
lot of
not.
fun on that one.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that one. I'm trying to get my thoughts together because,
We also forgot your intro
my intro. I had an intro. Oh
from
yeah, right.
Hollywood.
That's right. I was gonna say live from a studio audience in Hollywood, California. We're doing space weather unplugged. But today we're gonna do a little bit of, I don't know, I guess damage control. We talk about the update with Solar Dynamics Observatory, SDO, and the issue they're having with the server that had got damaged. And then talk about current events, which Christian's calling the non-event because it kind of was.
As
Um,
its title. Yes,
so
absolutely.
that should take us through the half hour. And of course, we have a list of resources that you can go to in lieu of SDO. Let's just say all of us are a little saddened by this because SDO feeds a lot of things and we don't have it anymore. So
Yay.
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
We were all expecting ACE and Discover data to go out, and instead, this is what we get.
Yeah.
It's not the hit we were expecting, but it hits
Yeah,
just as hard.
it really does. All right.
Well, let's cover what actually happened. So
Yes, let's go over that.
I'm gonna go there.
Yeah,
All right.
you guys should have sharing power, so bring it
Yep,
on up.
there we go. That should be open.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about the sad, sad story of SDO.
Let's talk about it. So this is what happens when you are putting everything on one server. Um, SDO Solar Dynamics Observatory is really a powerhouse of space weather, both operational and research. And it is housed at Stanford University. All the data is there, it's distributed from there, and as you can imagine, technical difficulties can really derail this. And that's exactly what happened. It got flooded. A 4-inch cooling pipe actually burst and flooded the servers, causing severe damage. We have no images available starting the 27th, or I think it was sometimes a little late on 11/26 UTC. We have no idea when it's going to be repaired. We're probably looking at 2025 as of now. So not just researchers, but all the space weather community that's on the operational side is now looking at alternative data sources for solar imaging, which, let's face it, is difficult. SDO was sitting in the geostationary orbit and it was sending us tons of data, high resolution images. We really don't have another spacecraft that's capable of doing that in real time, which is,
Yeah,
we miss it.
Detrimental.
We
that's
miss it already.
that's the
So,
painful part.
alternative sources of data at this point that will have to get us covered until SDO becomes available is SUVI. So that is on board of both GOES 18 and 16 and 19, but it's not operationally available yet. So maybe that's going to expedite things, but who knows? We do have ground observations, and that's GONG network. There is Stereo A, which is sending us low resolution data, and it is at well, it's pretty a significant angle at this point, but it still covers at least the west side of the sun decently enough to be useful. And finally, there is SOHO, and it also is low resolution data. So stereo is interesting because we have low resolution data. It's so far sometimes, it's almost on the other side of the sort of solar system. It's across from us when you look at the sun at some points in the orbit, and that's why it's capable of sending really compressed data. It gives us an idea what's happening with the sun, but it doesn't give us really high resolution that's sufficient for detailed analysis. But this is where we at right now, and we'll probably put those resources in the link. So watch where the SDA is located, because the stereo A is located, because sometimes it's increasing the angle. So depending on when it's going to be and where it's going to be, you may not have the data that you really want. Like covering East Limb is getting to be very, very difficult with stereo A images. It's just, don't do it. West Limb, yes, we got a nice view of it right now. East Limb, not so much. So we'll put all those fabulous links in in the
Yes.
video description. Use them at your own risk, so to speak. For SUVI, we do have SWPC as the main source of data. It does have a significant lag sometimes, so depending on which site you go to, like University of Wisconsin site actually has about 3 to 5 minute lag time. So if you're looking for the source of next X flare, you might want to go there and pull the images and see where that flare is coming from. So might be enough of the lead time to figure out if we need to prepare for a big event.
Right. Yeah, because we'll still be able to tell when flares happen because of the X-ray flux,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's like, where did it come from?
Locating them just now may have a significant delay, which of course, when you're talking about SEP events, doesn't really help that much.
Right. So anyway, that's our dilemma.
Yep.
So I want to cover a few of the shortcomings of them too. So, and
Yeah.
did you have any other slides, Tanya?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share mine. So I've got JHelioViewer up, which generally at least should allow for seeing most of the other stuff. I pulled up, so this is stereo A currently, or rather the EU, man, there shouldn't be this many vowels put together with only one consonant between them. But the EUVI imagery from it, stereo A, it is very similar. Now, I do at least like that they generally will make the wavelengths the same coloring. So 304 is still going to be the red color. I think there's 4 other ones on here. 195, 284, 171. So 171 is another one we use in SDO. 195, 284, not as much. And then same with GOES. The problem with both of these, as Tanya said, is they're just low resolutions. You're going to be able to see some things. But for example, the in-depth analyses I do when I look into sunspots and to how the magnetic field is shaped around it, I really need some high resolution data for that part of it, especially to find flare footprints. Sometimes it's impossible to tell even with the high resolution we have with SDO. Now we're kind of stuck without that. We have no AIA, we have no HMI, we have nothing from SDO. We don't even have iris photos, which I'll be fair is not actually used very much in the terms of active space weather, but it's really cool imagery since it gets some very detailed views on the sun. But the idea is you're going to want to change your perspective a little bit. And instead of going straight to SDO, I agree with Tanya on that note. The GONG, or rather the GOES imagery is going to be where you go. So you're going to want to go to check at SWPC's website just in case it's there. The servers are going to be best to pull the live images as they're coming in. And hopefully we get one and it's not a huge delay, but this is really going to change the game when it comes to locating active regions that are flaring. We're just going to have to kind of keep an eye on the ones that are, and then hopefully that will lead us into the likelihood of which ones are actively flaring. But for now, this is bad. I was expecting, ACE or Discover data to go out and us lose real-time solar wind data, and then that would even be worse in my opinion. But instead, we're going to have to deal with now the Solar Dynamics Observatory, high definition images gone. This affects a lot of other apps too. So the Space Weather Live app, I've already had people question that. Any of the solar images that are coming in from there are going to be out of date now. It likely will either, I don't know what they're doing at the moment, but I'm assuming just keeping it at the most up-to-date one, which was sometime on the 26th or the 27th.
I was going to look at it and get that last image.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reports now that are going to be not able to go through with what they do because they pull SDO imaging. I am thankful at least GONG has magnetogram imaging, so we can at least determine polarity still of active regions. Finding ways to merge that with white light images is going to be a pain, though.
Yeah.
It's really hard to compare two different satellites in that.
11:26 at 23:45 UT.
Right before the 27th. Okay.
That's when everything went to, well, high water,
Crap.
shall we say? Yeah.
Yeah.
The challenge with apps also is none of the SUVI images are readily available for grabs. So you can't exactly go to the website and just pull the most recent image. So that's a little difficult. And again, it's rewriting most of the apps that include the images and recoding how those images are processed and posted in the app. So that's going to take a lot of work if even if images are available. So be patient with the apps if you're using them. They may not have the most up-to-date images. That's expected. And bookmark a few sites for yourself so you can check where the flare is coming from, or otherwise wait for somebody to put an update in, I don't know, one of the social media channels. And there are plenty of reliable ones, and you will see eventually somebody post where that flare is coming from and whether or not there is CME associated with it, but it's going to be slow.
Yeah.
We're
It's
not going to have the high time response. I wonder if this is probably going to affect HUX's imaging as well, or HUX's ability to run models in a timely manner, not knowing the exact location of where it's coming from.
Not as much because Huxt is using mapping that's done by Met Office.
The PFSs, right, is the main source from
Uh,
that.
what's it? They do use so they use the same WSA as the Met Office. So putting
Oh,
that
okay.
together, yeah. So putting that
That's all
together
ground
and then
based.
running it, yeah, yeah, exactly.
well, that's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was a little afraid when I thought that. Like, oh God. Pointing this out too, I kind of like how HelioViewer does this, going from just the GOES outlook, which again looks mostly like the SDO. Problem is, you start zooming in and you're really starting to get blurry in some regions, and that's not the actual imagery. That's just the resolution being that low. Not fun. But the point is, if you map stereo A on top of it, you see it misses some of the
Oh,
east limb. So technically, for fun, this is just an off really fact thing. You can gauge the distance between SDO or stereo A and Earth by how much of the limb is not showing up when you combine imagery. So
that's
we're at about 26 degrees roughly in longitude
Mhm.
from away. So this is roughly a 26-degree gap. But it also means we have more of stereo A to offer than the west limb, which in this case, oh, well, that's right. I won't update unless I change the date again. But the point is, we get more of the west side now. So that's not necessarily a benefit in this case, but
not really, but it's all right.
if you know how to use HelioViewer or JHelioViewer, that's at least going to be your best bet. Now you're not the up-to-date data immediately, but the point is you can at least easily pull up the SUVI imagery from GOES and new layer, look at GOES and pull up whatever wavelength you want, so you can at least get that data. I think it's probably the easiest way to get it, but it's just not going to be up to date, even relative to the slow up to dateness of GOES imagery in its data.
Yippee.
So that's all I've got for at least the JHelioViewer part. And I think that covers mostly our other kind of guide as to what to do. So really this, while it's not affecting a lot of the space weather aspects, it's just the source that we're now having problems with locating the region, maybe the footprints of the flare, and exactly, especially the coronal dimming. I mean, I'm sure most of you know, at least that do space weather, coronal dimming is kind of our bread and butter here, is to determine if A, there's an eruption, and B, how strong it is, and C, the direction of it. That's not
Yeah.
really going to be loaded that much. We're still going to have GOES imagery for it, but again, we get not as big a cadence, and we're getting less resolution. So
It's
it's a hit.
yeah, it's crazy to think about how much that SDO imagery just was like
It was
tentacles and all
paramount.
these different things. And you're like, oh no, you take away that big piece. And it's like that's a lot of that forecasting. So
Yeah,
we get
not a fun time.
no. Oh
Um,
well. We get to adapt. We get to test our adaptability skills here. Oh yeah. Did you want to? Oh no. Yeah. I guess we don't have to because we mentioned SOHO because SOHO is another.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. And honestly, I get lazy here and just type in SOHO solar because of course Manhattan comes up first,
Yep. But
and then just head over to the SOHO webpage from
this
there and you can check
this
out the
little
sun now.
guy, yeah, is one of our oldest satellites up there, and still kicking. But it's another source that we can get some imagery from.
Still roll it low resolution, but
Yeah.
at least we've got it.
So
Well,
yeah,
anything else about at least the outage?
I
That's
think
all
that.
I had.
So now we could
So
talk about
non-event.
thing one and thing two.
Yeah, more like thing one and where's thing two.
Yeah.
And that needs a more clever name, I think. But well, we clearly had an impulse on the 29th. This would have been the night of the 28th, so just a couple nights ago. It was not as expected in that, well, it was not as expected in general, but the hit that we saw in Solar Orbiter was very clear that it was not going to be a very strong hit to begin with, which we knew. And based on Lasgo imagery, I'll be honest, I didn't even talk to people about this eruption or the prior one. It was clear that not only were they glancing blows, but they were not very big, significant CMEs. Not to say that's been proven by just how they look, because of course they can look not great, or we can have faint ones and it'd be great. But the idea is they didn't look very promising. I think data backed that up. We had a peak BT amount of about 16 nanotesla, but that very quickly faded. We had a primarily all northern BZ as well, so that also didn't help things. And then we had a second bump later on. There was no flux rope in the beginning. I want to say I didn't actually see one honestly here either.
Yeah, it looks fairly just kind of messy.
Just the fun negative BZ period we got through here, that would have been the late the 29th into the 30th. That probably would have affected Scandinavia area quite a bit more.
That was probably the one that triggered the G1.
Yes, yes. I don't
Yes,
know what time
exactly.
period that was for, but that is my assumption as well. Note as well. Oh, I do want to mention this because this is kind of important. This is, I'm assuming, ACE data. Yes. Discover data is very, very bad for this time period. So in case people are wondering why things look so chaotic back here, I did zoom out. So let's go ahead and zoom back in. Let's do 3 days just for fun. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
Discover Data's had bad data for a while now. None of this was real. Anytime you see almost sinusoidal oscillations in data, especially speed and density, it's the issues with the Faraday cup for the actual device. This is not real data. Always remember that you can switch seamlessly back. If you just do the active spacecraft, that works. It doesn't always pick up those errors though. So always check between Discover and ACE. And if you see that ACE is more constant and a little more sensible, that's where you're going to want to look. So ACE data at least saved our butts here, whereas our new satellite Discover, of course, is not very helpful. But the idea was it was a non-event, really. Our magnetosphere barely blinked. There was a few decent substorms that hit high latitudes, but I really didn't see anything that was worth going into. And then the other fun part was, oh yeah, nice. Thanks, Tanya. Is that the Churchill line, I'm assuming?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
charisma.
Yep, Charisma. So we had a few decent-ish ones, but really it flat other than that. So really, that's kind of good because as we know, we've got cloud apocalypse and the snow apocalypse with the snow effect, and we're adding apocalypse to the end of everything to make it sound more dramatic. I
I
think
mean, that's what the media does anyway.
that's exactly my point.
So you
Like we're
might
gonna
as
pick
well.
up that since the media does it, so I guess we can do it, to be
We should
fair.
have an Aurora apocalypse.
Aurora apocalypse.
Aurora.
Yeah,
Ooh, that's
Aurora
hard to
eclipse.
say. Wow.
I would be okay with that.
And since then, there has been no activity. Even flares at this point have been pretty much dead.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
seems
think we've
it
even
seems
had
pretty
so much as an
quiet.
R1 update since then. We are definitely going through a quiet period on the sun, which is
There
okay.
wasn't, did we have any coronal holes before all our stuff disappeared?
Do I still have Star up? No, I got rid of that. Star didn't see anything. In fact, you know what? Here, let's do this. I closed JHeli Reviewer, didn't I? 284 is the wavelength you would go to see
Oh,
coronal holes
yeah.
here. We have a
It looks
transequatorial
like
one
there's
that looks like it's
one.
coming. So that should, let's see, 1201, 2, 3. My guess is by the 5th of December, we should start seeing solar wind from that just based on this imagery.
Okay.
Can't tell you what polarity it is, though.
Yeah. Wah, wah,
Oh,
wah.
you know what? Let's for fun. I've got GONG imagery up still, don't I? I need to really fix these tabs.
So many tabs.
Too many tabs.
Well, now we're gonna have like 47 tabs because we don't have our because we have to go to 80 million
8
different.
million different areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this looks like it's likely going to be a negative stream.
Okay. So there's something in the
Yeah,
future.
something to tell. So that, I mean, I won't pretend I know what kind of heightened activity that's going to bring. It's pretty thin, pretty
Yeah.
small, interesting bend. It is going to hit the sun Earth line pretty decently, but I wouldn't expect a very long stream nor a very potent one. So as usual, I'm going to say high latitude Aurora.
Sounds fair. That sounds fair.
Fair enough. Sold.
Interestingly
Let's
enough,
stamp on it.
SWIPC actually has it as a positive polarity coronal
Oh, do
hole.
they?
Not that it's helping us
Ooh.
Yeah.
because, yeah, I'll,
Oh yeah, we don't get
um,
any effects from either now.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't really matter. But another good source for coronal maps, at least, is looking at SWIPC's solar synoptic map. So if you don't want to run the analysis, it has been done for you.
Oh
But
yeah. I like
but
the
that
synoptic.
sounds easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Do the
Probably not
synoptic.
the right thing to say there, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that was the 26th. It was too early, so
Oh,
Star didn't have anything yet.
I think she shared it to the oh, that's
The
the hut.
synoptic
Yeah.
map?
Yeah, she
No,
put
that's or at least I saw the Hux model.
yeah. And then
Yep.
the
So that's predicting the coronal hole.
okay.
Yep.
Oh, so my
Yeah.
timing was pretty dead on then.
Yep.
Well, halfway through the fifth. Well, that's pretty much all I have for that.
Here, bring up the synoptic map since you still got your screen share that she put in the
I guess we'll go to SWIPC for that one. Although I'm gonna have to type it in manually. That's not something I visit often.
well, now you have to.
I know
I,
now it's not really an option.
I actually really like the synoptic map. I like these layouts.
Let's see, this was
So
what
they have a
was the date?
coronal
This was the
hole.
30th of November
Yes,
at
it's
1945. So this was done not that long ago, actually. That's probably the fresh one.
mhm. So they have that looks like the coronal hole there. 96. Is that what this is 96, right? I think it's what it
Yep.
says. Yeah. So yeah, that is a positive.
That's not the one I'm
It
seeing.
looks like it's further to the west than the what was in that image.
Quite a bit further to the west. Let's see. That's not really going to be helpful in magnetogram data.
Let's go back and check the time on that one image.
This not so the for
The,
SOHO was
yeah.
recent, like within the hour, I want to say.
Okay.
I don't bookmark things because I just type them up now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, that was technically 8:06, so about an hour and a half ago.
Do we have a
Although there might be one there too.
yeah,
It's very possible. Usually, if there's some big arcs overlapping one of the regions too, since the kernel hole's empty, you're gonna not see it as well. So that's possible. There's one right here that we're seeing. In which case, there would be kernel hole stream here very soon. I'm assuming Star can't say much. No, I mean, yeah, even Star's saying last major
So
update, so
that
they're not updating much. This is terrible. It's like everything's just gone.
everything's gone. What
for
did I
I'll give
do?
oh
I'll give power to anybody else if they want to share anything.
for coronal holes, if you haven't worked with solar synoptic maps
Yeah,
from SWIPC, they do have confidence level in coronal hole mapping. So the coronal hole that we're talking about, the 96
yeah.
with positive polarity, has a ranking of 2, which is poor confidence. So
Okay.
it's sort of kind of there, maybe there.
That okay, that makes sense. That
So
makes
that
sense
might
why
also
it's
explain
not.
why it's not visible.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not as visible. That's why it's mapped with low level of confidence.
Okay. That's
Interesting. Well, then I
helpful.
wonder if that's also. Oh, you know what? Okay, I have another way of telling that. No, okay, it doesn't look like a filament. That's a kernel hole. Okay. Yeah, they don't have that marked. That might be a newish one then in that case, but that's definitely the central region was a kernel hole. I don't see a filament wrapped around it at least. So, but again, low resolution imagery, so I'm not used to this. I feel like I
Yeah,
went back to Windows
none of us
95.
are.
We get spoiled.
I am now typing on Windows 95 PC. That takes an hour to load any image. That's how I feel.
It's so amazing how used you get to something, and then when it's gone, it's like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna
What do
do?
I do? How did I do this before?
No. Well, anyway, I think that's all we have for the day.
That's all I got for
But
now.
it's kind of fun. I mean, whoever's watching is getting kind of like a real-time forecast.
Because we're figuring it out too.
Yeah, that's we're
We just have to
figuring
go
it
to
out
three
right
different links
now.
now to do one thing like we used to. Ugh,
It's like first, let's check these 8 different sources first to double. Yeah. Oh my
must
gosh.
be how they felt in 1990s.
Yeah, it's back to the 90s. I always talk about how I want to go back to the 90s, but this isn't
This
what
is not the
it's
yeah,
not what I
or
want.
it's your fault that this happened in that case.
Yeah, sorry. I'll take
I think
full-
I jinxed the last one, so this one's your fault.
okay. I did it. I made SDO go down. Sorry. You know, my bad. Oops.
You're
Well,
the closest
outside of that,
to it right now, so yeah,
That's
you were the
that
true. I
is
closest out
am.
of all
true.
of us three.
I'm actually kind of
Hmm.
surprised. You know, it's surprising that it was a water main break and like not an earthquake or something.
Yeah, it wasn't even something relevant to the landscape
Yeah.
there. That's the
Yeah,
other funny part.
just a water main break. Like, oh, mm.
Yeah, we talk
Going into
about
that
space
kinetic.
weather. If we talk about space weather, that's going to be damaging into our infrastructure. And now we have what? Infrastructure that's damaging our space weather capabilities?
By just a water? Like
Gracious.
water.
It is kind of ironic.
Yeah, I find the irony there. Well, beyond that, all space weather's
Yeah.
no
So,
fun big events to talk about. No big
no.
sunspots, nothing.
And I guess if there is a big event, then just be patient because we're not going to get the instant
No
type
instant gratification.
gratification anymore. It's going to take
But
a little bit.
I did think of a perk to this. It's a very small perk, but it's a perk. The people that only do this for the influencing sake is now they now likely won't know where to go or get good images real fast. So maybe we'll have people that don't freak out right away. Oh, there's an X flare. We're gonna have a big Aurora show for
Oh,
it.
you know that'll still happen. Well, no, you're right because it would show up in the GOES X-ray flux first. So, okay, this will be fun to watch.
So we'll see.
Wonderful. All right.
That's everything I had.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being here. Um,
From
we did,
Hollywood.
yeah, from Hollywood, beautiful California. Um, we'll think of something to do next week. Maybe we'll talk. I mean, actually, we were going to talk about sunspots and stuff today, but
I
figured
still want to do that.
that
That still sounds fun, but
we might just have to do old analysis because without having the high definition images to go off of, it makes it kind of
oh, I've got tons of images from at least last cycle too that I
yeah.
can use as an example.
So we can do
No
that.
worries there.
That could be fun. There's also some other things we're talking about doing too. So we'll mull over it over the week. Maybe we'll
And
pull.
that's assuming nothing happens.
Yeah, assuming nothing happens. Which yeah, but we'll be
Every
back.
time we say that, it happens.
Yeah,
So
well,
I'm going to say it every week.
like this, but this wasn't a good thing.
No.
Let's just hope for no more space weather infrastructure breaks.
Yes.
And now
Hope
that
for
I
that.
said it, I'll take the blame for the next one.
Yeah, we'll blame it on
Damn
you.
it, Tanya.
So
Good thing we don't
anyway,
believe in jinxes.
have a lovely evening all, and we will be back next week at
Bye,
maybe in
everybody.
time. I mean, this is what we had to deal with because of all of our work schedules and us straddling basically Pacific time all the way to Eastern time. It was really hard to get everybody
Literally.
together. So it's difficult. Logistics. So
We'll be okay
anyway,
next week.
adios. I will end this on the YouTubes. And thanks for watching.